Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business, brought to you by MegaPixx Media. Joining me today is Jennifer Carlson, who is co-founder of Baby Gourmet. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer.
Hi, Mario. You're welcome. Happy to be here.
All right, super. Well, just recently you were named the recipient of the Celebration of Achievement Award with the Alberta Women Entrepreneurs organization. First of all, your general thoughts on achieving that and getting recognized in that fashion.
Yeah, I'm really honored to be recognized. I've been affiliated with the organization for a number of years. I've seen some amazing business women achieve this award, and I'm very honored and thrilled to be a part of that group of very talented women.
Okay, so you've been an entrepreneur now for a number of years. What would you tell people are sort of the keys to being a successful entrepreneur? What are some of the key things that need to be done, or even personality-wise, or that make up a successful entrepreneur?
I would say that entrepreneurship definitely is not for everybody. It is a lot of hard work, a lot of heartache. There's a roller coaster ride of ups and downs. And, I think what got me through all these years was really just having a vision and purpose behind that vision, and the drive and the perseverance to see it through. So I think if you have a business, like I said, it's got to be something you're passionate about, something you really can see an end game and you've planned an end game for. That's what you're working towards. If you don't really have that, it's very easy to give up because it gets hard. But if you feel, there's something at the end of the tunnel that's really worth it, then you just keep going.
So I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, as you said, there are numerous challenges, especially when you start off, right? And I guess for many of them, it's just easy to say, that's it, I'm not going to do it. But I guess the key is to get up when you fall down, right? And to keep moving on, I guess.
Yeah, if it is something you really are passionate about and believe in, but there are so many ups and downs, and there's so many times you want to pack it in that you can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
But there's just something inside that continues to drive you and push you forward to get through to the other side.
Yeah. What about yourself in terms of being an entrepreneur? What kind of things do you like about being your own boss in some way, I guess? No one's ever their own boss.
Right. I don't think you're ever truly your own boss. You are always accountable to someone, whether it's your customers, your investors, your employees. I think the best part of it is genuinely having the flexibility and the ability to bring something you believe in to life. So if I have an idea, no one's stopping me. There's no one really holding you back. You've got a lot of freedom and flexibility. Okay, sorry, Mario.
No worries.
I do have a dog.
Don't worry about it.
Yes. So, yeah, I would think that that really is a big part of it, is just being able to overcome all the challenges and having the freedom and flexibility to see it to life. I love creating a culture. I think that's a really important thing too. I'm sure there's lots of people that have worked in companies where the culture is not very desirable. You now have the ability to create the kind of environment you'd want to work in. And I love having that ability as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it's creativity. I love to be creative. I love to think of different ideas and bring different things to life. I think for me, when I became an entrepreneur, I'd finished university or my post-secondary, and I couldn't get a job. And I kept feeling like people, I know my worth and my ability and what I'm capable of, but I couldn't quite get everyone else to at that time to get a job. So I thought, I'm going to create my own destiny, and I'm going to lay out my own path. And I'm so glad I did. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I feel purposeful every day. And sometimes it's hard to get that, not being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What advice would you give struggling entrepreneurs? There's a lot of them right now, obviously, with the pandemic for the last year and a half or so, or even people who are contemplating starting up a business, especially in these challenging times. What would you tell them?
I would say definitely to be flexible and to pivot. Don't get stuck in just there's only one answer.
Yeah.
If a challenging situation comes, you need to look at it and strategically try to adjust and pivot your business based on where the market's going and what's happening. You have to be very fluid and flexible because things can change. And if it's not a pandemic, it could be something else. I think having a really strong support system and network, it will be challenging. There's going to be ups and downs. Having the right, if it's friends or mentors, other entrepreneurs that you could talk to and bounce ideas off. Sometimes that's a really great way to recover
Yeah.
emotionally when you're down, to pull yourself back up. And yeah, it's just surround yourself with really amazing, great people, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like things are going to get tough. You ask for help, and um, you'd be surprised on how far that can get you.
Let's talk a little bit about the Baby Gourmet story, Jennifer. How did it all begin?
You know what? It really was inspired by my daughter. When she was 6 months old, I wanted to create baby food that tasted really great, that I would want to eat myself, and I would feel so much better about feeding it to my baby. And I knew that there had to be I could imagine that every mom would want to feel that way. And at the time when I started, there wasn't a wide range of very interesting baby foods in the market.
Yeah.
So it was, it's been 16 years. I always gauge it by how old my daughter is. And yeah, it was just really, really inspired by the desire to want to create better for her. And ultimately something that I would, as a mom, could feel really good about feeding to her.
Now, there was also from Baby Gourmet, there were spin-offs, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I should back up a little bit. We did start at a farmer's market. The Calgary Farmers Market is where we launched our products.
Yeah.
And what we found is as our kids grew, my sister's got 4 kids, and as our kids grew, they still loved our products and we loved making healthy foods for them, but they were getting older and they didn't want to take baby food in their lunches.
Yeah.
So we aged up the brand. We've got a sub brand called Squoosh, which is still in the baby aisle, more of a toddler line. And then we've got a brand called Slammers, which is a school-aged snack line. So fruit veggie purees in a pouch, marketed for the older kids, that sold in the applesauce aisle. That
Yeah.
business is predominantly in the US. So we're in over 7,000 stores in the US with that product, and a somewhat limited distribution in Canada.
So do you have any background like from family or of being an entrepreneur?
Not really. Not really. My mother's brother was an entrepreneur who I was quite close to, my uncle, when I was younger. And I always found his life very fascinating, and always would think, what does he do for a living? Because he lived, he lived around the world and had a very interesting life. And I remember asking him what he did, and he said he was an entrepreneur. And I thought, that's what I want to do when I get older. Um, so I would probably say my uncle was the only one that was very entrepreneurial. And then it started when I was young. I just loved the act of creating and selling. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, for many people, I think they're probably in the same shoes as you were, right? You learn as you go, correct?
Yeah, I definitely am someone that learns hands-on, and I learn as I go. Um, I think, I think for me, one of my greatest assets was just having a really wide network of people and researching. I knew nothing about food manufacturing, but I joined the Alberta Food Processing Association
Mhm.
and talked to manufacturers and co-packers and um, the entire network. And that was just in my spare time, just so that I could kind of learn about how do you scale up, using the Alberta Food Processing Center. I worked with them to learn how you scale. We never ended up manufacturing it ourselves and scaling, building like a manufacturing facility, but it taught me what to expect and how to work with contract manufacturers to create the kind of products that I wanted to. So it was really just researching and finding as many networks and contacts as I could to help educate myself on the business.
Yeah, exactly. So, you obviously, your product, it goes all over the place, right? And geographically, but you are based in Calgary and in Alberta. What have been some of the advantages of being an entrepreneur in this city and in this province?
I would probably say that food entrepreneurs, when I first started, Alberta's not a hub for food entrepreneurs. They're kind of a dime a dozen, say in Toronto or Vancouver, but Alberta it was a little more unique. So I think we got a little bit more recognition and special treatment because we were somewhat new,
Yeah.
and it wasn't an overwhelming, industry. It was, something that was differentiated. And I think Alberta wanted to diversify and find other businesses to invest in. It's very energy focused. So, bringing in investment was a little bit easier, I would say, just because we had people that were looking to diversify their portfolio from energy. I would say the other benefits of Alberta, there is really strong government support to help encourage other business.
Yeah.
And so I think we had, there wasn't a ton of competition when you were applying for grants in Alberta specifically. So I think there was good financial and business connections because of the newness of the type of business we were in.
Okay, super then. Well, thanks a lot, Jennifer, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to see you, Mario.
All right, super. That was Jennifer Carlson, who is co-founder of Baby Gourmet in Calgary. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business, brought to you by MegaPixx Media. Thanks for joining us.